Wow, we actually have updates from Elon Musk himself and others regarding the Doge Dividend. Let's take a listen in to see what the latest updates are. This with Elon Musk at CPAC. Some have been criticizing Elon Musk for the glasses and the look. He was posing with a chainsaw. And some people, then again, people are always criticizing Musk. But anyway, let's listen to what he says about the Doge Dividend.
It's the bureaucracy.
That's exactly right. Let's talk about these Doge dividend checks that everybody's talking about this week. And I know you tweeted out that you're gonna. Does everybody want like a $5,000 check in the mail? It sounds kind of good, right? And the best part about it would be knowing where it came from. That's $5,000 that you sent them last year.
Totally. It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country, and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
Does it seem? Have you talked?
That's like glorious. That's like
it's the best.
The spoils of battle, you know.
Spoils of battle. I like that. Is there traction on that?
Yeah. So I talked to the president. He's supportive of that, and so it sounds like that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So
yeah.
All right, so that's one of the updates there. This is a reiteration from today that, as we heard, Donald Trump has now mentioned he'd consider 20% going to a Doge dividend of whatever Doge saves, 20% going to debt payoff, and then 60% going to just a reduction in further spending. Elon Musk here obviously reiterating that. Now, you do have some counter arguments. For example, Jasmine Crockett, she's got a fiery Crockett attitude, and she's not too happy about this. Now, some people say it's because she's a Democrat and she doesn't want to see Republicans get a political win here. Let's listen in.
Now, President Trump says he likes the idea of giving some of the savings from Doge back to Americans as kind of a dividend. Would you support that?
Listen, he's just telling a lie. He's not the one that had anything to do with the $1,200 refunds that people had during the midst of COVID. That was done by a Democratic House and Democratic Senate. Right now, what they're going to do is say, hey, we want to give you a refund, but Congress won't let us, because they already know that there's just no money for that. The only reason that those refunds came before was because we were living in different times. This was a time in which hopefully we won't ever go through again. We had a once in a lifetime pandemic. The bad part is that I don't know if it's once in a lifetime, because we know that Ebola, unfortunately, was detected right here in New York here recently. And if we continue down this road of getting rid of scientists or deciding that we don't want to rely on experts as it relates to what they're telling us to do, or we don't want to deal with vaccines and medicine in this country, then we may be facing not only our next pandemic, but our next 2, 3, or 4 pandemics because of their incompetence. So no, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
Well, wait a sec. Hold on. She just said Democrats deserve all the credit in the Democratic House and Senate for sending the $1,200 stimulus check. But then in the same vein, she says, I don't know what $5,000 is going to do for you. This is either really hypocritical or really tone deaf. So I'm not sure, but it does sort of make sense that Democrats at the moment are not very happy about these potential for these Doge stimulus checks. Now, with that said, we still have an uphill battle. First of all, you've got some folks within the Republican Party who aren't open to the Doge stimulus checks. We're going to listen to Mike Johnson here in just a moment on it. But you also have to remember, we still have a lot of savings work to do. And we'll talk about that in just a moment.
The president said that a percentage of Doge savings could maybe go back to the American people in the form of what he called Doge stimulus checks, something like 20%. How would that work?
Well, look, politically, that would be great for us, you send everybody a check, but really, we have to think of it, I think, in a...
That just got everybody's attention, by the way.
I know.
I just saw everybody look up all the time.
I know.
Yep.
But if you think about our core principles, right, fiscal responsibility is what we do as conservatives. That's our brand. And we have a $36 trillion federal debt. We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do.
The president said that a percentage...
Mind you, that is actually a very popular argument right now, that you got to pay off some of the debt that's going on. Now, it's worth noting that there are people on all sides of this argument. I mean, an article that's gaining a lot of traction right now is actually the following. Take a look at this one. This is it's posted on Futurism, and it's an economist who warns that the future is going to be very bad, in that we're going to see a deep recession. Now, Elon Musk did mention as recently as October that there could end up being a recession if Donald Trump pursues some of the deeper cuts to bureaucracy that he's looking for. Now, this will be interesting, so we're going to compare these two things because obviously here we are in February. But this is an economic piece here that says a professor and former Department of Labor economist is warning that the unelected White House advisor and multi-hyphenated billionaire Elon Musk is sending the United States headlong into a huge recession. A post on Blue Sky by Jesse Rothstein of the UC Berkeley School, University of California at Berkeley School, public policy professor, mind you, also who was a chief economist at the Department of Labor at the start of the Obama administration, so, left-leaning institution, left-leaning political career, argues that at this point a recession seems, quote, almost unavoidable, that we are heading for a deep recession between the cutting of hundreds of thousands of government jobs on the chopping block and the cancellations of countless federal contracts. The Economist noted that upcoming employment reports are going to look quite scary indeed, specifically the March employment report to be released on April 4th, to show bigger losses than any month ever outside of 2020 and 2008. Add to that the enormous private market uncertainty. How could you end up hiring in this condition? This is going to be very bad. Now, Elon Musk himself has predicted some form of a market correction. Pop in over here. Elon Musk predicts hardship, economic turmoil as a stock market crash if Trump wins. Now, this is interesting because this was October 2024, so just a week before the election or so. Let's take a look at this. Just a week until the election, Donald Trump's close ally and major economic advisor, Elon Musk, is warning supporters to expect an economic chaos, a crashing stock market, and financial hardship, albeit temporary, if Trump wins. It sounds so extreme that Trump fans must either wonder why he would be so foolish as to say the silent part out loud, or maybe he'd hope that the whole story is made up. Elon Musk has argued that he would be Donald Trump's budget cutting and government efficiency czar. We've obviously already been seeing this. And he says there will be no special cases and no exemptions as he starts slashing spending after Donald Trump takes office. He predicts he will need a lot of security personally because he'll likely, because of the likely reaction to his moves. Excuse me, I'm still under the weather here. But it's actually really incredible foresight so far by Elon Musk because back in October, he realized he was going to get a lot of backlash. Now he's getting a tremendous amount of backlash. Now, it obviously doesn't help some of the behavior that we're seeing on social media by Elon Musk. It's unfortunate, for example, to see something like, the following here. Elon 2024, post a bit more positive, beautiful, informative content, please. And in February, he says, "Dear astronaut, you are fully and an idiot." Now, this is obviously a debate here, and in the comments we're sort of debating, have politics gotten to Elon Musk? And is he sort of forgetting his obligations as a father, potentially? Or is there something else going on? Some drama that's sort of exploding right now. And again, you wonder, is this drama exploding because of Elon Musk cutting in a political position, or is it something else? But this is not great right here. Here's a post by Grimes on her official account. "Please respond about our child's medical crisis." Excuse me. "I'm sorry to do this publicly, but it's no longer acceptable to ignore this situation. This requires immediate attention. If you don't want to talk to me, can you please designate or hire someone who can, so we can move forward on solving this? This is urgent, Elon." These are now deleted posts, by the way, as who knows, maybe Grimes ended up getting in touch with Elon or Elon's team or whatever. Elon is clearly had some foresight that there would be a lot of negativity around him cutting. And so, you know, going back to his original argument here, he says we have to reduce spending to live within our means. That necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity. And, you know, there is an argument here to be made that if you cut spending on a government level and you give it to the private sector, whether you send it to people or, you know, you just tax people less, that you could actually end up having less deadweight loss and a stronger economy with more economic growth. Now, obviously, it depends where the spending goes as to whether or not we're going to see inflation, right? If we see, you know, if we see spending going to cars, which have dramatically expanded their manufacturing capabilities, well, we don't expect to see inflation. We just expect to see more profits for the auto manufacturers without necessarily inflation, unlike what we saw in COVID, right? So it really depends. You know, if all of the money moves into something where there's little or tight supply or manufacturing isn't fully built out, then of course you would have inflation again. So there's sort of that little ballast effect we have to consider. But I always think this is really interesting. Describing government spending as a room full of targets, like you can't miss, fire in any direction and you're going to hit a target, Elon says. I think once the election takes place, we'll immediately begin looking at where to take the most immediate action. Obviously, a lot of people who are taking advantage of the government are going to be upset about that. I'll probably need a lot of security. Everyone will be taking a haircut. And this is very interesting. He went further and agreed with a supporter who predicted an initial severe overreaction in the economy and that markets will tumble. Sounds about right, Elon Musk replied. Well, it's quite interesting. Take a look at the post here. If Trump succeeds in forcing through mass deportations combined with Elon hacking away at the government, firing people and reducing the deficit, there will be an initial severe overreaction in the economy, and this economy propped up with debt, generating asset bubbles. Let's go ahead and pull it all up. Generating asset bubbles and artificially suppressed wages as a result of illegal immigration, markets will eventually tumble. And when the storm passes, everyone will realize we're on sounder footing with a rapid recovery to a healthier, sustainable economy. History could be made in the coming 2 years. You know, when you couple this sort of thinking that even Elon recognizes some of his moves of cutting could end up being you know, a hardship for the economy or creating an economic hardship. In addition to that, Donald Trump's tariffs creating some potential heartache. Yeah, there are a lot of people concerned that is the best thing for us to do right now to actually send Doge dividends. A lot of people say, yeah, you know, let's give some money back to folks. Other people say, no. Let's not do Doge dividends. Let's not give money back. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just pay down the debt and tax people less? Tax credits, lower taxes. Simple. And just like we talked about in this morning's video, it's worth noting that, you know, a lot of institutions are still pessimistic, not only about China, but also about the potential for an aggressive Trump, where tariffs and high deportations could end up having that same effect that Elon had warned about. So it's interesting. It's this very curious set of facts that we're dealing with, that there are, and the fact is, there are basically many different potential outcomes here. We could end up seeing Doge dividend checks, but what if the economy booms because we don't end up getting tariffs and we don't end up cutting as much? Then the economy's fine and we don't get Doge dividend checks. Alternatively, maybe the economy actually goes into a recessionary situation because we get some more aggressive tariffs and we get more cutting from Elon, but then it actually reiterates the need for Doge dividend checks in the first place, because here we are in a recession again and the government doles out more spending. Now, is that going to increase the debt, which is basically the opposite of what the Trump administration is trying to do at the moment? Yeah. But of course, under a recessionary scenario, that might be deemed an acceptable and, again, temporary outcome. So I guess we'll see. But here's a bit of an update on the Doge dividend. It's worth noting that, you know, 2 days ago, Elon said, hey, yeah, we're going to look into this Doge dividend. And yesterday, President Trump said, yeah, we want to send 20% back to the people. Today, Elon Musk is reiterating it. So it seems like it's gaining some serious traction, at least between Musk and Donald Trump. And so we'll see how much more of an axe the government spending situation ends up getting and how much that ends up creating or enabling for the form of a Doge dividend. Anyway, you can watch my other videos on the Doge dividend. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.